I went vegetarian on the 8th of March 1986. I then went vegan about a year and a half later. I regarded vegetarianism, i.e. the consumption of dairy products and eggs as well as plant products, to be merely a transitional phase. And I still stand by that. However, I'm no longer vegan. This is a living being, it's a living animal being. It's sterile, obviously, but it's still a cell, a living animal cell. As far as these are concerned, they are relatively innocuous to eat. This is free range, and obviously chicken are bred for the purpose of laying eggs sometimes as well as being eaten. I suspect that I'm also supporting the death and eating of chickens by buying eggs as well. When I went vegan in 1987, at first things went very well. Then after about 2 years, I began to get tingling along here and here. I also lost my sense of smell, and I also became mildly psychotic. Not in an interesting schizophrenic way, but in a more like the sort of psychosis that you get with alcoholism, where you have poor concentration and memory and you hallucinate. I used to get hallucinations of olfactory things like the smell of mint and so forth. So that was not particularly good. I also set fire to the bed and nearly burnt the bedroom down because I couldn't smell. I don't think that would be a problem for everybody who went vegan at all. I believe it was to do with B12 deficiency. However, although there was mild pernicious anemia, as with most vegans, the DNA problem is compensated for by the increased amount of folic acid in a vegan diet on average, which means that you don't get the pernicious anemia so much as the nervous system problems with the Schwann cells. So that's what I got, and as a result, mild psychosis and various neurological problems, which are somewhat resolved now, unfortunately, by going back on dairy. I don't think most people would have that problem. I think that veganism is suitable for nearly everybody, and also ethically more justifiable than vegetarianism. And in fact, I think that there is an ethical overlap between meat-eating diets and vegetarian diets, and there are vegetarian diets which are ethically worse than some meat diets. For example, if you're just eating meat from roadkill or something like that, I don't see that there's any problem with eating meat in that way. What I think happened with me was that B12 was not being absorbed efficiently, perhaps because of the problem with my stomach lining, which is where the intrinsic factor is secreted, and because of a problem maybe in the terminal ileum, which is the main site where B12 is absorbed. I'm not going to make veganism into some huge major problem, because I don't believe it's a major problem. I think it's extremely good for your health if you do it right. I do think that there are some problems with food miles, and if you're not careful, that's where the problem will arise. I don't think it's justifiable that I eat dairy products, and I don't even think that there's an excuse that poverty forces me to eat dairy products. I can't afford to buy food. Does mean that I will take the opportunity of nutrition, even if it's very ethically negative, than not eating. And so that's how it goes. I think there's a difference between dairy and eggs, but the difference isn't that big. And I also think that there's an overlap, like I say, as far as consequences are concerned. Now, I haven't had much time for this video today because I've got a lot on today, so I'm afraid it's just going to be this, and I've had to use the useless microphone at the back of that camera rather than the separate sound system. If you like what I say, please rate, comment and subscribe. Oh, and share, obviously. If you don't like what I say, tell me. See you tomorrow.